No, I understand. It was wise of you to bring them here, Count. They'll receive the best treatment in all of Ustalav. Early signs of bleaching. This is the response to stimulus. An Iron Fang veteran? Ah, I think I recognize this. What brought him here? Now, for their admission records, may I have their names?
We have had
a lot of that.
I'm sorry.
Wow,
I'm
tough week.
sorry.
That was
No.
absolutely rude.
I'm
We
so
have
sorry.
had quite some time to try to find ourselves and figure out who we are in this asylum. We have spent most of this in crumbling, damaged, decrepit, but once pristine, almost sanitized white hallways and blank rooms, with little exception, save for the churning yellow mists outside and a few spaces we can see a window to the outside world. Today, however, we come into something completely different. What looks like a tribal campsite, deep in a forgotten land abandoned by civilization. Tents, kitted up of bed sheets and linens stitched together, pitched over wildly burning, barely contained braziers, scattered throughout this wide space. The floor is still tiled stone. It still worked. It's still part of Briarstone Asylum. It was once the cafeteria, but save for the ground, you could be forgiven for thinking that you were somewhere else entirely. You stepped into the cafeteria and into a completely different world of this island. The wall supporting the door behind you and around to your right with a staircase winding upstairs still seem intact, but near everything else is eddies of yellow mist, churning swirls of fog, coming in so thick you can't even see the far side of this room. Again, it doesn't even look like there is one. To your left, the western wall of this cafeteria has all but entirely crumbled. Open to the air, replaced with a ramshackle, much wider version of the barricade you first found when you came into the asylum from downstairs. The barricade the survivors back at the chapel had built to ward off the face stealers. But here, it is the dividing line between this tent city, filled with what must be dozens of these yellow-robed cultists, and the whatever lurks outside Briarstone. As you had entered, all attention had turned to you. Eyes from a myriad faces, a dozen faces with a dozen different reactions and expressions, but all pointed your direction. Before another figure had come down the stairs. An old woman who must be in her 70s. Hunched over, just toddling a step at a time, would turn, seen the group of you, the open doors behind you, declared the way safe, and the crusades can continue. We can return to the rest of the asylum. Purge these halls of monsters, starting with them! She points an accusatory finger, this crooked smile on her face. A couple of the cultists do just kind of reach for sticks or rocks or whatever is nearby, but it doesn't seem to be a clear, concerted effort. This is not a wave, an army rising to meet you. It's a a couple of men and women fearfully clutching at some semblance of safety. Most of them scuttle back, away from you, around, behind, or into their tents, trying to scramble out of view, huddling together. They clearly do not seem to, at least immediately, share this woman's zealotry. What do you do?
We've been in the room for all of 10 seconds.
If that.
I remember I hung back in the past room.
You are around the corner,
That's
kind of out of sight, so it's just the three of you that are visible here, and easy.
Probably gonna hold the sword up and be like, "Let's get him!
No!
Come on!"
No, let's not.
Where is Grandma?
Grandma is probably some 20 feet away from you at the base of the stairs,
Alright.
just calling out over this crowd.
I'd probably want to just raise my bow up, just point it right at her, and do an intimidating glare to demoralize.
Okay. You make me an intimidation check. You gonna give her the spooky look.
Oh my gosh.
That's a 12 plus 4 for 16.
16.
Keep giving each other stink eyes.
As you look at her, she kind of looks back
Hers
at
a
you.
little less willing.
This toothy, crooked grin, still splitting her face. They are monsters already! You can see they come to us bearing weapons. They have not the yellow of protection. They wear not the Orpiment. They are unprotected. The tattered man has taken them. Strike them down! At this point, several of the cultists nearest you, there's one it's just in a bad place. Just like right in front of the door on a small mat laid on the ground, maybe 5 feet from you. He reaches down and he grabs a rock and scrambles up to his feet and holds it up like he isn't sure what to do. Again, not to swing, not to throw, almost defensively. He looks terrified.
I'm gonna look right at that one. Just lean in towards him. Do I look like a monster? I've got the sword, deep, monstrous voice, and everything, just daring him to throw the rock at me.
Now you see
Yes, you did.
there are a few cultists.
Can I intimidate that cultist?
Sure, give me an intimidation. Absolutely, you can intimidate that cultist for sure.
Oh man, dude.
It's a natural 20.
Why?
He
He
dies.
can't keep getting away with that.
Yeah, so
He,
that's a natural 20 for a total because it's funny of 28.
he immediately drops the rock and literally turns and runs back away from you, back into the mess.
Wasn't he on a cot? Wasn't he in?
He was on like a mat, like a sleeping roll. Like it's just a. It looks like it's a couple of the orderlies' outfits that are just kind of linked together in a
I
pad.
thought he was injured, and then you're like, yeah, no.
He runs. He
heals.
immediately just
I'd run if he was injured.
runs away. On the western side of the room, of this barricade, you can see there are a few cultists standing there that have something closer to actual weapons. They've got saps, they've got clubs, a few of them have crossbows. They're currently banding together, about 6 of them, from that wall and turning over, glancing back and forth between the group of you and Grandma. These ones look like they are armed and ready, but even they are not immediately diving into this fight here.
We cleared the shadow for you, and this is how you greet us.
And she just like, you come claiming you got rid of this darkness.
Just gonna point at
Yeah,
the open door.
yeah.
You are
Yeah.
monsters. You probably made it. All beyond the safety of Xandalis here are forfeit. Their minds gone to the tattered man. Or do you claim otherwise?
We've seen him. He can't kill us.
And she looks just confused. See, that one she doesn't know how to take immediately.
We know what he does.
But you hear footfalls coming from a little further out the edge of the mist. Someone hurrying over, and first the shape of a figure, following shortly after, men dressed, well, much like I am. A simple shirt and a white doctor's lab coat drawn over it. He is clean and well kept, an incredible rarity here in the asylum so far, even so far as to keep his face well shaven, his hair clean, groomed, and combed back. He looks confused, worried, and isn't sure what's going on. But as he comes into view of the group of you and to Grandma here, you see his face immediately turn from confusion to stoic. And he stops and puts a hand up on Grandma's shoulder and says something quickly to her. So again, this is like 20 feet away from you, so you can't hear exactly what he says. And then he turns over to the group of cultists over by the western barricade and raises a hand with 2 fingers and just kind of makes a circling motion. No need to be concerned. Our scouts have returned, and if they have made it through the darkness, let us hope they have good tidings. Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is us. We're the scouts.
I can assume his name.
Dr. House.
We were told a fake doctor's name last.
You were told of a Dr. Elborn
Yeah.
by Joranna back at your camp, yes.
So, Elborn?
Elborn.
Elborn.
And Grandma looks up at him and calls back out of the group of you. I do not recognize any of these. These are not members of our flock.
Well, your memory's getting away from you in your old age, Grandma. Sorry.
Dr. Elborn, would you please be so kind as to let us back in?
And he nods and turns back down towards her with a little, palm up, the classic, I don't know what to tell you, shrug. If you wish to take this up with Xandalis, please, by all means, ask him. But if you were to accost the only hope that we have of making contact with the rest of ours outside, please, allow me to debrief them. And she just sort of squints up at him. And turns and starts tottering back up the stairs. The guards at the barricade don't really look like they know what to do. They just look kind of confused as well. And the doctor sort of motions for the group of you to follow him. Come along then. Please, close that door behind you until we're sure it's safe. And starts walking into the mist.
I'm not going to actually do like an intimidation, but I am going to still just like glare at the guards as we kind of start walking.
You can mark one as your target.
Yeah, you can have you don't
Just
have to
for
be in
fun.
combat to hunters mark somebody. You can have whoever you think.
can just
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I guess at that point,
I'm gonna
as soon as I see them moving away from the door, I'm just gonna kind of step out. Not even just full blown like, "Hey, I'm here too." Just like nonchalant walk through the camp.
The group of you head through this cultist campsite, walking past very confused, now still mostly frightened faces. Many of these cultists they're of course dressed all the same as those you've seen outside. They've got mostly these bedsheets, these patient gowns, those that can get them, smeared across with finger painted yellow and different designs. They all look like they may have been done by each of the individual bearers, some cleaner than others, all near random bits of lines and geometric iconography. But they all look like a huge variety of people. All the ones basically you'd seen outside, they had some kind of weapon, they had some clubs, they were, well, you, having come from the survivor camp at the chapel, could make the logical assumption the ones that were fit enough to be sent out, the scouts and the guards. A lot of the ones that are here are not. There are much younger, much elder, much more infirm. A lot of these people, though they greatly outnumber you, do not look fighting fit at all. There are still, make no mistake, quite a few that are, but this sea of faces that you pass in the flickering firelight of their braziers, all illuminated by the reflections of the yellow off of this rolling fog, are afraid. To a man. As you follow this strange figure, perhaps Dr. Elborn, you see that at the farther end of the room as it comes into view, there is a massive tent shanty, almost like a building within the cafeteria itself. Well over a dozen feet across that extends back still further towards what may be the cafeteria walls back in the distance. It's intact and sturdy enough, supported as it is, with large beams and bits of stonework they could get together, that it even has an actual framed door and curtain across that set into it, a fully separated room. And the doctor brushes that aside and steps in to reveal a much larger infirmary than the couple of bedrolls, now a couple of gurneys that you have back in the chapel. A half dozen beds. More gurneys, they seem to be collected here. They've pinched from elsewhere in the asylum. Each crammed with cultists showing various clear signs of injuries. And as he ushers the group of you inside, though you can see the wall that this is built up into on the side of the cafeteria is another staircase that looks near identical to the one that Grandma had come down. He leads the group of you up those stairs to a small landing where the stairwell turns up to a second landing where it looks like it once turned one more time to rise to the second floor, but that is now collapsed and choked with rubble. This second landing up out of sight of the infirmary down below seems to have been transformed into a personal quarters for this doctor. Another mattress and a pillow laid down here with a few sacks and a couple of crates of supplies, a small pile of glasswork and alchemical equipment. And he doesn't say a word while he leads you through until all 6 of you are up here on this landing, out of sight of everybody else in the cafeteria. Who in the hell are you?
We're the scouts.
No, we can be honest with this one. We're from the other side. He doesn't seem to have the spark of madness in his eyes the rest do.
There's other survivors from within the institution.
There's still more that live beyond here that aren't part of Xandalis' cult.
Yeah.
It's funny, the power, the protection of the vine still work in a temple built for them.
I hadn't expected at this point there would be any that still drew breath beyond the walls of this cafeteria that weren't adorned in yellow. Dr. Ren Elborn, and I'm hoping you can help me.
Help you with what?
With everything here. With Xandalis, with all of this. I don't know what the situation is like elsewhere in the asylum, but you've seen surely just what you walked past moments ago. These people are trapped here. And as you walked in, when you first came into this cafeteria, around the stairs where Grandma had come down had been several large timbers mounted up in the ground as stakes, supporting the crucified bodies of a half dozen figures with sacks drawn over their heads. Mounted up, clearly still alive as their blood had run down these poles. At this point, starting to turn. Audible flies buzzing around them as you walk by. When you came in, I'm not even sure where to begin this conversation. I don't know where you've come from or what you've seen or...
So, Nessa made a statement earlier about him not being a doctor on staff.
She said they did not have a Dr. Elborn, yes.
In that case, I want to just... No, we're in the middle of a conversation about my exploration action, just to, like, scrutinize every word he says. If someone we trust doesn't know who this is, and he says he's a doctor for the asylum, I don't trust him. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
So you're going to be really... That is, I would say, so you're going to be trying to, like, read him, basically. You're going to be sensing motive.
Yeah.
Is what you're doing. What are the rest of you doing as you're up here? Because this is not... I mean, you're certainly not in entirely safe territory, so it's probably still wise for some people to keep eyes out.
Looking around at the camp as a whole.
Yeah, you can be a couple stairs down, and looking out, you can only see the inside of the infirmary. It's a completely enclosed, big square tent. So without going all the way out of the tent entirely, you can't see the rest of the camp beyond that. But you can look out.
Peeking.
Yeah, you can look down the stairs, and you can see the entry to the infirmary if anyone were to come in.
Did Grandma stay out in the She didn't follow us.
Grandma went back upstairs,
Okay.
up the other staircase. She went back up from wherever she came.
Okay.
Cammy's my name, and investigating is my game.
You're gonna be thinking here. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a medicine check.
We're gonna test your doctorate versus his.
Yes. Oh, heck yeah, dude. That's a 18 on the die, 25.
But 25, as you came in, though there were a half dozen cult patients on the gurneys in the infirmary, then they did all look like they were pretty injured. They were healed up fairly well. Some of them looked like they'd taken very grievous injuries, which had all but fully pulled together. You feel it's pretty unlikely these injuries were very old, seeing as they probably didn't have those before the collapse happened just a couple of days ago, and it's certainly not enough time to have passed since then. But you didn't see any signs of stitching or any kind of treatment more complicated than literally just bandages and gauze wraps around things. It's obvious to you that all of their healing has been magical rather than physical. And you would have just noticed that coming in and coming upstairs with Dr. Elborn here.
So, you're a doctor
Right.
of the medical sense?
Well, I treat diseases of the mind, has been my area of
With
study.
medicine? And she's kind of smirking like,
Psychology is an interesting art. It calls for medication sometimes, sure, but often therapies and various forms of mental rehabilitation are more appropriate.
Were you a doctor employed here?
I was. Believe it or not, I had... I'm sorry?
Not.
Not?
I was informed there is no doctor under your name employed at this facility.
I don't know who you spoke with or where you heard my name before now, but I question how it would have come up were I not. Admittedly, my timing was poor. I joined the staff here at Briarstone Asylum barely a week ago now. Just
Well-
a few days before all of this chaos.
What wing were you employed under, and who hired you?
I was working, like I said, I studied diseases mental. I help with the rehabilitation and psychological therapies. I worked in the rehabilitation wing, particularly with patients who presented with emotional instabilities and disorders.
so...
And Colby, make me a perception check on that.
16 on the die for a 25 total.
You get the sense he is a pretty good liar. But he is clearly making this up as he goes. He does know a decent amount. He knows enough to tell a pretty passable lie. So it's not like the details of the minutia of what he's saying that gives him away. Nothing he says in itself is unbelievable or wrong, but it's the way it comes out of him. It's the way he presents it. He does speak rather slowly and with some pauses, but you can tell that everything he says as you ask him the questions, he's got exactly the next 3 words queued up, and then he's trying to think of where to go from there. He's not pulling just from experience.
So do you have a script? Do you rehearse this when you're by yourself? Were you a patient before this happened? You're lying, buddy.
And when you call him again, he stops and sort of looks down for a second and closes his eyes. All right. I don't know who you are, but I suppose we'll be plain. No, I'm not a doctor, but not in the traditional sense, I suppose. And he, this whole time, he's been glancing over at Easy more than the rest of you. Really. Why don't I, if I want you to trust me, I suppose, extend the olive branch, as it were. Yes, I was a patient here, but as Martin knows, we share similar magics. A lot of what we've learned together. And if you've been traveling with him, I'm sure you've seen what he's capable of. That's how I'm able to treat those downstairs. I'm sure I don't know medicine and I don't have tools, but I can soothe their minds and their wounds with spells. And, Easy, I imagine, pretty much probably has the same face as the rest of you, because not like he remembers it either. He definitely also does not know this guy or recognize this guy, but clearly it seems at one point he did.
How do you know him?
Communal ward. He just kind of looks at Martin. You were in the bed next to mine. We spoke frequently. Well, you sang mostly, but we found commonality with our magics, our backgrounds. No?
Bit of a memory loss.
You
All of
said
us.
you don't know who we are. Oh, that makes like 5 of us. 6 of us, really.
Amnesia.
Group.
I mean, yes, that was why you were here, he says to Easy, but you can't even remember that? That was a few days ago. It's recurring?
Wouldn't know.
Knows.
We don't know what we don't know. No way to frame of reference it.
Well, I'm not sure, I suppose, how to work with that. But for now, regardless of your backgrounds or your memories, I beg you, please let me keep this facade. I'm only safe here as long as Xandalis and Loomis and the rest of the cult believe me to be a doctor.
That's all I wanted to know is why you were lying.
But is Elborn your real name?
Yes. I suppose you can just call me Ren, then.
Red?
Ren.
Ran.
I'll call him Dr. Elborn.
Dr. Elborn in front of the cult, but whatever makes you comfortable. Please. You're the first contact I've had with anyone outside of the Orpiment who seemed rational, who seemed reasonable, who hadn't turned. Loomis isn't wrong. Something you've seen. Something's happening.
We've put down quite a few.
The cultists?
The monsters.
The monsters.
Both.
Well, yeah, both.
We need to put a stop to this. These people are trapped here. As am I, and I'm sure as are you. We can't leave, and we won't survive forever. These nightmares will overwhelm us eventually. You might be the last chance any of us have to make something happen. But I need some information from you, and then I'll gladly give any that you would ask. How did you get in here? How did you get through the shadow?
I appeased the spirit.
It was a haunting of some kind, then.
Of a little boy. Yep.
It's
Terrified.
not the first or the dozenth manifestation of strange dreams that's happened here in the past days, so that you can handle them is good news. But that means the way is clear. Yes?
For now.
You said you came from another camp of survivors that I assume aren't Orpiment. You heard Loomis speak. If the cult finds them, unless you outnumber us greatly, I don't think they'll survive. You must have been here when this all started. Do you even remember that?
No.
We woke up about 2 days after it started.
I do. I was here.
You do.
Yeah.
You're not with them?
No, I kind of joined them after a few days. I was on my own at the beginning when everything fell apart.
Then you've seen what the Orpiment can, what they will do.
The aftermath and the sounds.
It is critical that the cult continues to believe they cannot go south. That means from here forward, neither can you. anytime that you pass through those doors back to where the shadow was, it'll become harder to keep them believing the lie that nobody else can follow. Especially if word gets back to Xandalis, which, thanks to Loomis, I'm sure it quickly will. I'm sorry, but if you wish safety for those you've stayed with these past days, you'll have to stay with us for now.
Fair enough.
Which means you'll need to pass as members of the cult. It's not difficult, but we'll need an explanation for where you've been and what you've been doing. We can work on that later. We'll have time for those pieces to fall into place. But for now, what do you know? Or what do you want to know? I've had little but time up here to try to find a way through this, to study what's happened, to find the source or anything that could stop it. And I believe I have some theories.
It wouldn't be hard to relay everything that we've learned and come across so far.
Are you just openly sharing with Dr. Elborn or Ren then? Are you going to just tell him everything?
I don't see a reason not to, since we're surrounded by a cult of crazies with one person who has at least got their stuff together.
I wouldn't tell him where the survivors are, though.
Well, not that, but like everything we've experienced going outside is very bad. The blood in the hallway, the different haunts, like just a general what we know.
I'm going to start with a question. Who is Xandalis? What is his role in all of this? What do you know?
I just know that he's this lot's leader and he's the source of all of this.
Have you seen him?
Yes. Numerous times, but he hasn't come down in maybe 2 days. Not since he anointed his last batch of Onirigen. He's up the stairs where Loomis went, with her and the rest of his guard at all times. He convinced a bunch of patients that he was some kind of prophet, and that he could lead everyone to a land of dreams. And that's what brought the riot together in the first place. That's what started the Orpiment. And almost immediately after, as you've seen, I'm assuming somewhere in that you got names, as you've seen, Marius, the mists rose outside, and that quake brought down much of the building.
So the Orpiment is what you guys are calling the collapse.
The apostles in Orpiment are Xandalis' name for this group, for this cult that he started.
So Xandalis told a bunch of people that he could take them away to like a promised dream land.
He had found a way to allow people to live their greatest dreams, to forsake this life, shed it like a spare skin, and live whatever fantasies they desired.
I feel like more like we've been running from nightmares since this whole thing happened. What about the ones he's chosen and anointed upstairs? Did they ever come back down?
Those... well... he has different... I suppose there's a degree of stratification. He has his guard. He has his chosen. He has his Onirigen. He calls his apostles. Those, no, we never see them again. But his guard, they come and go from the camp sometimes. They take shifts at the barrier on the western wall, what's left of it, trying to keep out the creatures of the mist. But none of those apostles are seen again. I'm not allowed up there. None are, except for his honor guard and Loomis, who leads them. They don't come back. And the fog is... it's much thicker up there. I've been up the stairwell once to help someone who'd been injured during one of their rituals. You can barely see it's so thick. You could barely see your hand held outstretched in front of your face. But
Were there any defenses up that stairwell?
there's plenty of guards. I don't know what you've faced so far, but that you're here alive tells me you're capable, and I'm sure you could take a few of his guards in a fight. But not all of them. Not in the mist like that.
Well then, how does one get picked to be his honor guard? Or chosen?
I truly could not tell you what it is that he sees in people, but he claims he sees into their dreams, into their nightmares, and those that are the strongest, that have the best connection, he takes them to become these Onirigen, to hold back the Tatterman, as he says.
Just who is Loomis? Is that Grandma or
Loomis is Grandma.
Okay. How are the people who are chosen to be Onirigens notified or called up?
Sandalus comes down personally. He walks through the camp, and many of the Orpiments, it is well and truly a cult. They cling to him like a god. Even just his gaze, if he looks at them for a mere moment, they're ecstatic. If he touches them, it's revelation. And then he finds usually one and takes them upstairs. He's 3 up there now, I believe, if they're all still there. Or 3 that have gone. This fog, do you know anything of it?
Did Xandalus not summon the fog or the mist?
I think what he promised everyone when the riots first broke out was not entirely untrue. He's found some way to breach the divide between reality and the land of dreams. That's what this mist is. It's spillover, plainer spillover. It's not of this world, and truth be told, I'm not even sure the asylum still is. It's coming from whatever dream he's tapped into. And things come out of it. Strange, formless things. We've had to fight them back a few times, and I'm sure it's the source of these transformations that take people in their sleep.
Well, how do you stop the dream?
I have a theory. These Onirigen, these apostles that he anoints, whatever he does with them, wherever they go upstairs, they're gone. I know nothing further of them. But I believe there is one that was left behind. Our camp was not here originally. When the breakout first began, we had much more space. We stretched from here to the rehab wing. And the first of his apostles that he took, right as the riot started, his first Onirigen, he had in the tower off of the rehab wing, far on the northwest side of this whole facility. It didn't come with us. Whatever happened to it, I believe it's still there. Upstairs, the fog is thick, and with every apostle he anoints, it gets thicker. If you could find that Onirigen in the tower back in the rehab wing, maybe we could learn something concrete about how any of this works, about how to make it stop, reverse it, even. The rest of the cult left. I think he's alone. I don't know of any guards or anything that Xandalus has left with him, and none of his guards now move beyond the camp, not since the shadow stopped us from going south.
Are we allowed to go that way?
That's the tricky part. I'll have to think of an excuse or a reason or something. I can fend Loomis off for now. I can feed her excuses, and she doesn't want to cross Xandalis, and if she doesn't know what I'm up to, she won't take a risk to find me either. But if it becomes too suspicious, or if Xandalis himself gets involved, I'm not sure how to explain things away further. I'll think of something, but I might need a moment. Martin, I know you don't apparently remember me or anything, but I spent hours listening to your stories, and you're good at weaving them. Can you help me? We put our heads together. We can find a cover. We can figure out something to explain this. And the rest of you, you're welcome to stay here, I suppose, at least some amount of away from the cult. The story I've given Loomis so far is that I sent you south, so I suppose it would be reasonable to her and to keep up the facade and keep you in here. You can stay on that lower landing or down the floor of the infirmary, or I suppose wherever you desire. If you wish to travel throughout the camp and attempt to ingratiate yourself, that could be wise, but it'd be a risk.
We actually do have something that might be his grandmother. We have Xandalis' file.
I know several of his scouts were sent out searching for that.
And we're the scouts that found him.
We took care of our job for you, and their job for her. Now she's happy.
That could be good. That would definitely give us an opportunity to, well, at least give us some leeway with her and Xandalis. That's a fine idea. All right. I suppose he just kind of looks around this little landing. It's not a big space. A couple you have to stand on the stairs. It's a landing of a stairwell. Like it's like 6 foot by 6 foot with his things and a mattress in it. So he just sort of nods and kind of tries to squeeze past you up on the stairs. I suppose wait here a moment. Can I have the file? Yeah, I'll call for Loomis and then use that as I can. And he takes Xandalis' file from you and head down the stairs. And all right, well, just hang tight then, and head out of the infirmary, leaving the group of you here alone in this stairwell.
Sir,
Take a seat.
was there anybody in the infirmary?
Yes, there are quite a few cultists. A few of them were laying there talking. You can still hear some conversation coming up the stairs. A couple of them are asleep. One looks to be very unconscious, but most of them aren't too wounded. So most of them are just like patients in a hospital.
I'm gonna not talk to them and just stay away and up here.
You're out of sight of them up here, yeah, so
Yeah.
you can just wait.
I'm not gonna scare the cultists with 2 monster races just kind of walking downstairs without supervision.
Where'd that guy run off to, by the way? The one I scared?
Off into the mist. You can only see
Oh,
probably...
he's dead.
Well, the mist is the cafeteria. You couldn't
Okay.
see this infirmary tent. This cafeteria is basically outside. The western wall of it is completely gone. And you can see the shape of at least a tree out there. It looks like it leads through into one of the asylum's courtyards. So the mist in here is thick enough, and the cafeteria, you can only see like 30 or so feet, and the cafeteria is much longer than that. Inside the infirmary itself, it's a fair bit clearer because it's all completely shacked and sheltered. It's much more like the rest of the asylum, but it's still an ever-present kind of haze that's hanging over everything.
I guess since I'm a little... I might go into the infirmary and just kind of crack the door just to kind of watch to see where he's going.
Dr. Elborn?
Yeah, just kind of check to see if anything's going on outside.
Yeah, if you follow him up and just look, you see him with the file in his hand, and he walks over past all of the crucified bodies to the other staircase. And you see him stop for a second, and kind of take a breath and steady himself, and then head up the stairs out of sight.
Then let's come back up.
And then you would hear him almost immediately afterward. If that staircase is anything like this one, it's certainly not long enough for him to have gone up the stairs calling Loomis's name.
Okay, so we're cultists now.
Praise Xandalus.
Yeah, that's a stuff.
Xandalus sees.
Yeah. No, that's the lines. We gotta find some yellow stuff.
I was about to ask as well if there was any near us or something. I wanted one note. Does the mist smell at all?
The mist doesn't have any odor to it. No.
And if we encountered, you said there was some paintings on the wall too or something. Does the paint smell of anything? Is it paint or what is it?
It seems like it might just be paint. It might be not necessarily originally intended to be paint, but dried as it is, it's functioning well enough.
Okay.
There would, in this infirmary, amongst the fairly extremely scant medical supplies, much less than what you have down in the chapel, be
All they have is more beds.
Yeah, they got a lot of beds. They were closer to that stuff. They got the beds and the bedding. Obviously, they made a crap ton of tents. They got all that. You got all the supplies to keep people alive.
Fair trade.
Good deal. It's a fine trade. There would be a couple of clay urns, covered clay urns that clearly have dried bits of yellow paint around the lips, and that is run down the sides in a couple of places that look like they're full of whatever the cultists are using to paint their gowns.
Well, I guess there's nothing to it. We gotta suit up.
Paint my pipes yellow.
Caution pipes.
I'm gonna paint yellow stripes, so
Okay.
it looks like I'm a big caution sign.
Fair enough.
I guess still, if we find the actual paint, does that smell like anything? Just while it's wet, and it's kind
It
of.
smells like yellow.
I want to
mean,
make sure it's not like a poison or
No,
something.
it's wet. It's got a fairly
Poison.
heavy smell of instant death poison.
It's lead paint. It's
It's a fairly
If it's on your
heavy-
skin, it's instant death. That's what's on the road.
almost kind of almost I want to say that
Lead.
overripe kind of moldy sort of smell, but it's fairly light. It's not a huge pit of rot. It's just you're not sure what exactly this is concocted of.
mold.
Well, you know
It's
that scent
water.
you get when you first pop open a fresh can of paint? It's not that.
Definitely
I saw
not
that
punchline
not
coming.
that smell. No, definitely not that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna stand
Like
over
a
the
little
thing.
bit turpentine aura.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna stand over the
tasty.
thing holding the paint and just squat, lower the edges of my coat into it, and then back up and kind of shake it off, letting the
Got
splatter
like a
go.
little some
Yeah.
just blobs around the bottom of your jacket there.
Yes.
You pull it up and just fling some drips everywhere. You get some droplets on your pants and your
I'll get a
shoes.
little bit on my face too. I'll just kind of go
I'm just gonna pick up Cammy and use her as a paintbrush.
Since I've got some crafting skills, I'm gonna kind of do nice yellow accents, kind of gild the edges, little outlines
Do the
here
little,
and there.
what do you call those for football?
Yeah,
The-
yellow accent notes on my armor.
No.
And
No.
he's not doing it.
No.
Well,
You can't be sneaky if you don't have bright yellow paint.
how are you going to hide if you're not bright yellow? After a few moments,
Camouflage.
a few minutes rather, Dr. Elborn returns, coming back up the stairs to join the group. He's saying that all but MD, then maybe Martin, I'm not going to speak for him on whether or not Easy has decided to paint himself a little bit there. I feel like he probably would, but I'll let him make that decision when he's here. Have
shoes.
started to anoint yourselves with some of this, and he definitely does not appear to have the folder anymore. Alright, well, that's good, at least. That definitely buys you some favor. The biggest problem, I suppose, is that Loomis has sort of taken command of most of his guard and scouts, and she doesn't recognize you. We'll, again, figure that out. I don't imagine that, well, they have bigger problems to deal with right now. The primary thing is concocting a reason that they can't go south. They can't go back through that room, and it needs to be solid enough that nobody will even check. Because if you put that spirit to rest and the room isn't enshrouded anymore, simply opening the door will show them it could pass. Anyway, Martin and I can put our heads together on that. It's getting late. Why don't the group of you get some rest? And then tomorrow we can figure out a reason or a way to get you out back to the rehab wing without raising any suspicion. Or minimal suspicion, I would suppose.
Tatterman doesn't come in here.
The Tatterman isn't real. Is he?
Very.
He's killed us once in our dreams. He's chased us in real life, 2 times now? 2 times now. Got me in real life, and then got me in a dream again.
This is a real thing?
Yes.
The Orpiment speaks of this figure that shows up in their dreams, this figure in yellow rags that hunts them, and they say if he kills you in the dream, it reveals what you really are. I thought it was something Xandalis had made up to keep them in line. I haven't seen such a figure.
You count yourself lucky.
Well, if you haven't seen him, I don't think we need to worry.
That you have is why I worry. Xandalis claims his power and the Onirigen keep this thing at bay.
There's other ways to hide from it.
If we're aiming to figure out how these Onirigen work, if they or Xandalis himself are tied to this mist, and he is sheltering us, and we remove that, what happens?
This all goes away, maybe.
Does the Tatterman?
Depends on if he's what caused him.
And 2, if Xandalis has created some kind of bridge between dreams and reality, then ending that bridge might keep the Tattered Man out of reality.
We can hope, I suppose. Anyway, get some rest as you can. If this works how I hope it will, if this comes to fruition, if you can learn something from that Nyrogen back in the tower, well, maybe we can test your theory, Marius. Anyway, Martin, let's brainstorm, I suppose. And Martin's a pretty easygoing guy. He's a people pleaser. Not one to turn Dr. Elborn down. He will stay up here, and they will put their little bard brains together and try to figure out an explanation for why the cultists can't go south. So, you 4 don't need to worry about that. All you need to worry about for now is resting. It's
time.
a very different place from
Miss
where...
the temple.
Mm-hmm.
There's smiling and happy people there.
Yeah.
I am happy to sleep on the stairs.
Yeah, you have the infirmary itself, which has plenty of space on the floor. The gurneys are taken up by the patients there, and many of the people outside, just because there's so many people here compared to your camp. This is like 3 times as big of a population, even with all the sheets and bedding and everything they had. How much of it had to go into tents and repairs? Many of them are sleeping, if not on just like bedrolls or thin mattresses on the floor, just jackets and orderlies' outfits. There is not really spare bedding for you. There's not much for comfort.
Well, I guess if anybody asks, you can tell them I'm sick or something. But I'm gonna sleep in there where the fog is less foggy. So I'm gonna get a little spot in the corner there. And I kind of march in there and take off my lab coat and ball it up into a little sort of pillow, and I'll kind of tuck into one of those corners.
The landing on the stairs looks plenty inviting to me.
You could fit possibly all 4 of you on that landing. It'd be a little cuddly, but with Cammy downstairs, you got a couple of big dudes, but
Just a couple manly men.
Trey's gonna sprawl out on that landing. How about
Trey
you
takes
two?
the whole landing.
I guess
He sleeps like this. King
goes with-
Like a
Starfish.
starfish, yeah.
I might go toward the end of the stairs just near Cammy, and I'll kind of sleep with my dagger close to me.
Just gonna prop myself back up against the wall on the stairs. I'm gonna fall over in the middle of the night. That's gonna wake me
I'm
up.
gonna fall down the stairs in your sleep. It's gonna be a great time. As you all get to a significantly less physically comfortable, but also just a situation that's doesn't feel nearly as safe as what you'd found before. It's the first time you've had to sleep outside since winter allowed the group of you past the barricade. And you remember what it was like then.
This is even worse.
I need
No.
everybody to make me a will save.
Oh.
Yeah. Is this fear effect?
No.
Okay.
There will be many of those, though, don't worry.
Not worry. Those are
It
coming.
matters because being adjacent
Yeah, you
to
got
me is
bravery now, right?
No, the
Marshall.
being near me gives you a bonus to that save.
Oh, right.
Bravery is just a
Is your
flat.
aura up while you're literally sleeping?
It's a
I guess
constant
it
effect.
is. Yeah, it's just on.
If it is, I'm going to
'cause it's
the
like-
cuddle puddle over
like-
there.
puddle. Because like the flavor of it is you're like commanding people and giving orders, but it's mechanically just an aura that's always there. So it's still. I can run this in my sleep. Cammy,
I got a 16 on the die, 25.
solid,
25 or 24.
solid also.
Yeah.
I got an 11 on the die for a total of 18.
Those are great.
14 for 23.
These are fantastic. Look at all them rolls.
Shit.
Look at all them rolls. All of you.
Was this sanity related? I'm re-rolling it.
You have hero points though?
Yeah, I have one.
Just for such an occasion as this.
Yes, I got a 10
Total.
total.
All right. So we'll get to that in a second.
Tatterman shows up and kills all of them.
Just everyone does. Tatterman comes out
Yeah,
of
you just
Trey.
summon Tatterman. Yeah, nice.
As you all fall asleep, your minds feel again like they start to whirl, and you find yourselves once more in a strange, unsettling dream you don't understand. It's got that same feeling to those cityscapes you've seen, the vision, MD, that you had of Debus when he fell asleep next to Lissandro, the girl in the mirror with half of her face ruined. But the matter of the dream itself, the setting, is far less unpleasant. You see a man with a white smock and a hairnet drawn pretty tightly over a big, hugely bushy bag of hair, compressed in on this hairnet, an equally massive mustache that fills the entire lower half of his face. Even as large as it is, you can still feel the smile behind it as he sits in a featureless expanse of white next to a pot with a ladle. And he ladles some kind of stew out of this pot to a figure, formless, kind of floating in front of him. Smile on his face the entire time. The figure takes it and moves on. A second arrives, a third, a fourth. This continues for some time, and though the man's visible happiness at odds with strange near blankness of the scene. But things start to change. The white of this void that seems to go on forever starts to pull in, the edges becoming faded and misty as a bit of yellow tint starts to seep over the scene. The figures pushing by the smiling man start to become more haggard, larger, somewhat distorted, but still the man continues on. Big smile, feeding each and one of them, filling their bowls as they pass. Until eventually, the figures passing by distort entirely. Yellow, featureless specters floating before him. As he brings up his ladle and puts it in his bowl, the figure simply stands there. The next one in line arriving not with a bowl, but with a blade. Then a third and a fourth, as they all just kind of gather around him. The smile fading a little as he looks around confused. The group, the circle, tightening around him as they descend. At this point, you can barely even see the scene through the mist. And as he disappears entirely into yellow fog, you just hear a scream. I need you to make a shake.
It's your favorite. It's your favorite. And you did so good.
I got a 14. Yeah, it's 14.
We'll get there someday.
Can I just re-roll it because it's funny?
You know what? I'll give it to you.
Yes.
Because
Natural
I
20.
honestly thought this mechanic was gonna.
4.
I thought this
There we go.
mechanic was gonna pop off far
Yes.
sooner than this. So you know what? I'll give you one. For
I
you.
have been trying.
Don't say I never did anything nice for you. Welcome to 8 Stress.
It's not very nice for us.
It's great
We
for
need
me.
him.
Welcome to 8 Stress,
I had to take the lead.
my friend.
You gotta flex on us like that, man.
And you all awaken somewhat unsettled. What may be the following morning, it's sort of hard to tell. In the chapel, there was a fairly strict schedule centered around Winter's prayer book. She kind of kept everything going as well as she could. Honestly, outside, the light level never really seems to change. You don't see, notably, the sun rising and setting. All you've had to track time was Winter's sequence of prayers and your night shifts. It's possible you've become entirely desynced with whatever the concept of a day is, but you had structure.
We're on dwarven clocks now.
You had something. That was my least favorite thing ever. You have something that kept everything feeling like you were going forward, feeling like there was some semblance of normalcy. Here in the camp, there doesn't appear to be anything like that, at least not here in the infirmary. As you all awaken, naturally kind of started from these dreams, unsettled. Dr. Elborn is still up at the top of the stairs in his mattress, soundly asleep. As too do seem to be most of the patients in the infirmary, save for one, who was just rolled over on her side, just sort of staring at Marius and Cammy as you lay on the floor.
I just kind of stare back and then I go. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. And I get up and I go find the others.
I mean, are you bullying the patients?
Nah, she started it.
That doesn't make it not bullying.
Like, it's self-defense. bullying.
Laid up.
It's why you care all of a sudden?
She's starting to be more concerned about the contents of that folder.
Hey, Derf, how many hero points do you have?
However many you're about to give me.
3
Oh my gosh!
From Vixel.
from Vixel.
Yep.
Take your stash, baby.
Dang.
Thank
Take
you,
your
Vixel.
supplies.
I was in that dream too, right? Or experience.
You. Well, I gotta remember that we have a totally different situation. This is my first dream.
Yeah, I gotta
scene with
ruin
Marius here.
everything.
You would have felt something entirely different. You would have had very similar to the last time that you slept. Just that big, empty chamber. Just that near infinite feeling cavern. Over it, you would have felt that warmth, that light, though there was nothing immediately visible. That strength just kind of around you, almost sheltering you in this mountain. Because you made the will save, so you wouldn't have even seen this other dream the rest of them are subjected to.
Right then. What do we do? Go talk to a bunch of new people in the new camp?
Kinda. I don't really know what else you want to do.
Wait.
For
what did he say his name was?
Ren?
Ren.
I mean, they're brainstorming and then we'll just wait for the go-ahead. We might as well try and make ourselves look like maybe we're not.
He is definitely asleep. He's right at the top of the stairs.
He's working
just...
really hard right now.
So
Like a real doctor.
So we need to find a way to get to the tower, but we can't leave, basically.
Pretty much your current conundrum, yes.
Okay.
Well,
Why don't we just tend to some patients while we wait?
yeah, that's great. Let's do that. Dr. Cammy, you're up.
Oh, well, we're just gonna... I mean, that's kind of his gig. I didn't want to, step on his bluff or anything.
Which one of these were you bullying?
You got to be part
What?
of the union, or else.
At this point, you hear at the top of the stairs as you guys just kind of start talking here on the landing. This wakes Dr. Elborn, who pretty quickly shakes away the sleep and rights himself, seeming to have fallen asleep in just what he was wearing minus the lab coat, which he just hung on the side of a crate up in his little landing. And he sits up. Oh, you're early risers, I think. I'll admit I've little sense of time since all this happened. It's just been counting days by how many times I've slept, really.
Yeah, you can't really see any sun or nothing, so...
That's what worries me. I know this mist is from this land of dreams, but the fact that we don't even see daylight anymore makes me worry that maybe we're there entirely. And Trey, slightly better chance for Trey to get stressed is Bane now too.
Oh my gosh.
On the off chance the next thing you fail by or succeed by one is a stress check. Anyway, he takes his lab coat. We had an idea last night. I think I know at least what we can get you to tower, reasonably enough. The Onirigen. There's an Onirigen out there. It's the whole reason that I'm sending you. We don't have to tell that much of a lie. We just disguise it as you going to attempt to retrieve it or check on it rather than trying to study it and learn if it can be stopped. It should be well enough. The question is really going to come down to whether you all personally can sell it well enough to get out into the rehab wing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a pretty good liar.
Yeah.
All the doors out of the camp that lead back to rehab or to the western courtyard are barricaded. Barricaded and usually guarded. If you use the doors in the pantry, there's always a rotation of guards and folk there prepping what food we have left. The one in the kitchen is generally unguarded on account of the haunting, but, well, there's the haunting. And if someone were to just pass by going to and from the pantry as you were trying to unblock the door, it might be harder to explain your situation.
Pantry it is.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds kind of pretty straightforward, so we'll just...
Well, then I suppose we've some semblance of a plan, then. All that's left, I guess, is to hope that it works. What still stands of the cafeteria, just outside the infirmary in the northwestern corner? Both of those sets of doors lead to the serving area. They both go to the kitchen. It doesn't matter which you take. When you enter, the pantry will be there on your left. It connects through to the courtyard, but it should be far enough away that you won't be visible through the fog to the guards at the barricade here. It's the largest of Briarstone's courtyards. If you wish to try the kitchen door, it's just at the far end. I don't really know what else to give or to tell you, I suppose. Well, I have one thing. And he turns back and picks up a bottle that he seems to have just set up on a crate as if it was waiting for the group of you. It's a square glass flask of a liquid that seems to have a bunch of stuff. No, totally different actually. A bunch of stuff floating in it. It's a pretty decently big bottle. For a potion or an elixir, definitely on the large size. This is the big gulp. This is going to be the difficult one for Kemi to consume with rapidity, just from a physics standpoint. But it looks like it's got small bits of almost like sand and tiny bits of dark matter sort of floating in it that all jostle as he picks it up and stir about the bottle. It's what?
It's a kombucha.
It's moldy, dude. It's not.
That it's a magic.
If your kombucha looks like that, don't stop drinking it.
It's a kombucha with extra stuff in it. We have some that has seaweed in it.
But you've got grandmother, and then you've got the mother in the kombucha. It's a
Mother's
kombucha.
kombucha.
Oh
Thank
my
you for that
gosh.
one. Yeah,
Oh.
I stocked those. I put those on
You're
the shelf.
blessed again, Durf. Put it back on there.
Don't mind if I do.
And
Welcome back.
he hands you this. This is I got it from the orderly stash when everything was first starting. It was
Slumber wine.
what?
Slumber wine.
It's a little extra reinforcement should they need it. It's a barkskin potion. And he'll just kind of hand that to you. And
That
here are some
explains the chunks.
cards.
Bark skin?
Ooh,
Yeah.
barkskin.
I'd
It's
grab it from
yucky.
him.
And he can briefly explain that it just makes you more physically resilient.
It's awful.
It doesn't look like it's pleasant to
It looks
consume at all.
terrible.
The picture on
It
the
is
back looks
kombucha.
really bad. It is kind of kombucha. That's a bark kombucha.
It's probiotic.
That's
But-
just sawdust.
Yeah,
It's-
pretty much.
I'm imagining it tastes like...
Yucky.
It's got some sawdust. It's got
kombucha.
some bits of like what look like
I would
shredded
imagine it
leaves
tastes
in
like
there as you
coffee.
look closer.
It's yucky.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I
not
literally
eating
have something
that.
in the store that looks just like this.
But it is a potion that will make you more physically resilient if you drink it. It will. It's probably
like
not
you
just
did some
unpleasant to
spread
drink.
in there.
It's probably honestly a very unpleasant experience, as your skin will actually physically kind of transmute and harden, like tree bark, giving you a bit of resilience to physical attacks. But it is really hardened like bark. It's dry, it's flammable, you become extra vulnerable to fire. So maybe don't friendly fire starters at each
We don't
other
have any more of
after you
those.
drink the barkskin potion. Please do not. It will hurt a lot. We have one of those for whoever wants to carry that, and I have the spell card with you too, just because the potion card literally just says "it barkskin." I'm like, thanks. That's
you.
not
Thank you so
helpful.
much.
So I also gave you the spell card.
I'm not taking that. I stay squishy. That's disgusting.
Well, then I suppose hopefully before much of the cult has woken for the morning and started to worry about their first meal, would be a good time for you to try to make your way out of the camp and towards the tower if you hope to remain unnoticed. The pantry will be staffed, though. It is round the clock. Food supply is about the most important thing we have, besides whatever Xandulis keeps upstairs.
You said the kitchen was haunted.
Oh, yeah, so
That's important information.
there's, well, a manifestation much like the Shade, I suppose. I find the cult has been very hard-pressed to travel much of anywhere between the Shadow and whatever is happening in the kitchen. I think we've more or less figured out how to avoid it. The westernmost cookpot set in the wall, you'll see if it hasn't been messed with for some reason. A line of stones out around it. Just don't get any closer than that, and hopefully you'll be okay.
What happens?
It's like a plague of rot. The pot itself animates. Those who have experienced it said they saw faces pouring out of it, and then they passed away from a powerful fetid disease within the next day. It's not pleasant, that's to be sure. And it was certainly something I couldn't treat.
Bad soup.
Really bad soup.
Bad soup.
Just don't go near the circle of rocks. That seems to be whereabouts that it manifests.
Okay.
I love this because, like, it's a haunt and Pathfinder, right? So, like, it resets every day or every hour or whatever, and they've walked into it enough times that they're just like, all right, don't go closer than this. Like, it's like living, you have to live in a place where there's a haunt that just is there. They can't figure out how to get rid of it, so they're just like, just don't go in the circle, dude, and, like, maybe it won't go off.
You, like, poke your finger in, you see someone come out, and you're like, oop, oop.
It's funny that, like, because if I was presented that from a player, I'd be like, it's not metagaming, you idiot. But, like, no, if you live next to a haunt you couldn't get rid of that has, like, a defined point. If you get within 10 feet of the pot, it goes off. They're just like, all right, put the rocks, like, 12 feet out and just nobody go near the rocks anymore. Just that pot doesn't exist. Like, don't go over there. Like,
The danger zone.
yeah, what else do you do? Like,
I want to step into this circle. That's what I want to do.
with that, unless there's anything else you want from Dr. Elborn.
Oh, sounds like we got a plan.
All right. I'm going to keep Martin behind a little bit longer. For one, we barely went to sleep not too long ago. We've been working on a plan for the cover story for the Shadows. But I think it'll be better if both of us present it together, especially with the situation given the group of you. It adds yet more legitimacy to the story that you are all trusted scouts we should be putting some stock in. But if you haven't returned from the tower by the time that we're done, well, you won't be far. I'll send him out after you as well.
Okay. I mean,
Better than hanging out here.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well then,
Place gives me the creeps.
best of luck then, I suppose. And though many of this cult have been swayed by Xandalis, not all that wear the Orpiment are truly beholden to them. Like myself, many had few options. Join or be struck down with the rest. I'm sure you can even see it just looking across them as you walk through the camp. As many don't wish to be here as are fervently zealous to Xandalis and his protection. So please, don't. I don't know why. Don't raise arms against them if it can be avoided. There will come a time, surely, where Loomis and Xandalis' honor guard will have to be removed, and possibly as an Irigen as well, if they still live. But those that don't fight back or are forced to, bear them mercy if you can.
We'll see what we can do.
Mercy's what the M stands for.
Mercy dead.
Mercy, Dad.
Mercy don't.
Mercy, don't. The group of you head out of the infirmary back into the north side of the camp. Much of what is over on this side seems to be a more open area. There are still a few tents and bedrolls. It seems to be pretty haphazard. It looks like outside the infirmary is, immediately outside of it is a bit of an open area that looks like it might be a meeting or a serving spot, and then a couple of scattered tents that look like they're for something other than sleeping or long-term staying. Not far beyond those are a pair of doors in the western wall. By this point, the wall has come up intact. The cafeteria's southern end is what is all but collapsed. And the northern wall is buckled in, and a couple of places have holes where brick and rubble has poured through. That looks like a huge amount of debris is stacked up on the outside of it. But the eastern wall and this little stretch of wall here are mostly intact. As you head through these doors, what are you all doing?
As we're strolling through the camp, again, trying to, of course, sell, effectively even selling that, we're these honored scouts. Cammy's walking, like, chest puffed up, like, doing, like, kind of these to everybody, like, a little, like, cap tilt. She has no hat. She's gonna.
Completely unhinged.
She points one out and she asks, like, "Oh, how's your mother doing? I haven't seen her in a long time." That kind of thing.
It's like a 65-year-old guy.
Yeah.
What?
That's great.
What?
Which room did you say we're going into?
Going to the kitchen first because both doors lead to the kitchen.
Okay.
Probably with a snarl on his face, walking through ready to intimidate instead of bluff our way through the door.
Fair enough.
Like just making a real mean mug. Not
If anyone shows up, they're gonna have a bad day.
Oh yeah.
I'm just walking. She's putting on a show. He's acting mean. I'm just a dude.
You're there.
I'm existing.
You're filling in Easy's role of just a guy that's here.
Just a guy.
Fair enough.
I've shrunk a foot.
Just a regular guy. Just a regular dude with green skin. It happens.
Walking like with purpose, like we know what we're doing. Carrying a clipboard, hard hat,
Yes.
Getting it
Safety
anywhere.
inspector.
He's got a ladder under his arm. You guys can get anywhere. Approaching the two doors, as Dr. Elborn said, doesn't matter which one you open. They both immediately lead into the same space, which is the eastern side of this kitchen area. And as you step in, it's in the north end. There are a row of fireplaces with heaps of barrel-sized pots and cooking implements. This is clearly a kitchen for very large-scale mass production of a lot of food for a lot of people. But much of the kitchen is just an absolute ruin. There are quite a few doors that lead different places. You can see to your right as you come in a huge pile of rubble, and the fog is no thinner in here than it was in the cafeteria because that pile of rubble clearly goes directly to outside. The pile of rubble slopes up towards the northern wall of the cafeteria, leaving a just open view into the yards of Briarstone Isle just past these large fireplaces. And on your left, there are 3 more doors. One that will be right in front of you as you come in, and 2 more that will be on the northern wall of this, that according to Dr. Elborn, are probably all just different servants' entries to the pantry. This whole preparation area would have needed a lot of space and passageways for staff to be moving around and keeping things going. On the far western side of the room, you can see a lot more rubble, less thick fog, and a door that is physically boarded shut and barricaded from this side. There is nobody visible in the room, but you can hear the sounds of work coming from the small chamber to your left. As advertised, the leftmost fireplace has a circle of fairly large, very clearly, explicitly placed stones just kind of set around it, maybe 12 feet out from the fireplace itself, leaving a pretty narrow walkway against the pantry wall.
Sounds like we're just gonna go the way we intended. No one's guarding the door. Pantry is where we want to go.
This is the kitchen. The pantry's through these 3 doors next to you.
Yeah.
You want to go in the pantry?
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Okay.
It was basically only that way, or we go through the haunting, right?
Well, it looks like you can fit by the haunting. Like, you can squeeze by it. They got the circle of rocks
Can we
there.
see the pot, or is the pot past the door?
The pot's
The
in
pot
the fireplace.
opens the door,
Oh, it's in
comes
the
out like,
fireplace.
hey, this
Yeah.
is my
Yeah.
corner.
I was like,
hat.
maybe it's a huge range.
The
Don't
rocks go
that
up
way.
to like that within like a square of that wall there. So if you all just kind of go along the wall, you'd be outside of the ring of rocks.
We
So
can see the pot.
You can see the pot.
And there's
The
guards.
pot is in the fireplace.
There's guards inside the pantry too.
Yeah, you can hear them.
Yeah.
The pot.
She wants to mess with the pot so bad.
I do too.
Do you want to go tickle the pond?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
I
well,
can see you eyeing it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'd like to just grab a piece of rubble from the pile of rubble.
Okay. There's plenty.
And
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
take your
kind
pick.
of anxiously
acquired.
fingering it in my hands, just like fidgeting. That's all so far.
do we want to?
So we're going past there, right?
Yeah, we're gonna walk past the pot.
We'll sidle up, Pat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are you going? Because he said he's sticking with the original plan, which is just go through the door immediately into the pantry. Are you going into the pantry, or are you going past the pantry?
There's guards in the pantry.
We knew that.
Talk past.
If it seems fairly safe to inch past, I wouldn't mind trying to just go along the wall, but...
Is there a ladle next to the pot?
There are no ladles in this room at the moment.
There are no
What a
ladles at
kitchen.
all in a kitchen?
Well, it looks like they don't use this kitchen anymore on account of, I don't know, it's extremely haunted. So
Ah.
all the portable tools that they can take
Excuses.
elsewhere.
Ghosts in your
You
pot.
can hear, it sounds like they're doing the food prep in the pantry. Like, they're not thin doors. You can hear, like, chopping and banging from in there.
Can I hear roughly how many people it sounds like?
Sounds like it's at least a couple. By the voices, it sounds like maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
Alright, well, if we go through the pantry, what's the story? Tell them we're
We're
going
scouts.
to get We're scouts.
We don't need a story.
Yeah,
we-
we're
we-
very important individuals.
Oh, he made it out as though we need an excuse to leave the
Yeah,
camp.
the excuse is we're being sent out to scout the Anirigen.
Well, didn't he...
Easy.
Didn't he say that if we go through this way, then we're going to have the harder time kind of convincing them that they can't leave through the other door?
That's going through the way we
Let's
came
go
in.
south.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go back out the way you came in, it's going to be hard to sell them if they can't just go that way too. You're trying, you know, from your previous adventures in the asylum, there's nothing on the west side of the asylum that connects the two halves. Because it's completely collapsed at the north end of maintenance, where you found Dr. Ose in the first place. It's totally fallen apart.
Okay, so we just need to not...
You just need them to not believe they can go through the southern door where you came into the cafeteria in the first place.
Okay.
Your problem here is just that no one's supposed to be going out this way, so you got to convince them that you are in fact supposed to be going out this way.
Okay.
He was Dr. Elward, right?
Dr. Elborn.
Elborn.
Alright,
I'm
so
writing that down.
write that down. Alright, then to the pantry we go. Cammy, put the rock down.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, keep the rock in your pocket. I open the door to the pantry.
As soon as he turns around to open the door to the pantry, I just want to throw it and see what happens. Ideally, I would like to go for a basket.
Maybe range attack roll. Maybe
Okay.
range attack roll. The literal
I
second
just can't not mess
he
with
turns
it.
around.
You could re-roll that.
I could re-roll that, and I will.
After all, why shouldn't you?
It's the same.
Nothing has changed.
Fixed
It was
point.
It's the
Yeah.
exact
Fixed point
same
in
roll.
time.
What do I add to my range strikes again? I had it on my
Dexterity
other sheet.
plus
So you are what?
I
Do you
was-
have a melee attack there?
I don't frequent that
Okay, so
category.
you're trained. You're level 3. It's going to be +5 plus your Dex modifier.
Whatever you use for your
so
crossbow.
you're +6.
Oh, well.
Plus, oh yeah, whatever you use for your crossbow. Yeah,
Yeah, so 8 on the
14.
die, 14.
14. You as soon as you
It's a
turn
big
around,
basket. It's a
MD.
big.
It is. You're also like 25 feet from it. So MD
It's
turns
small rock.
towards the door, and as soon as he does, you hear like a little grunt, like, yeah! And then you you hear the sound of a rock hitting a metal pot off towards the haunt,
Yeah. Okay.
and you
cool.
see it just kind of bong off like the side of the outer lip. And
I immediately went back around, and then I go, what was that?
Who knows? Must have been the haunt.
as
Must
you
have
Must have been the haunt.
Some rubble settling.
kitchen's haunted. As you open the door, you can see that this room is the least filled with mist that you have seen so far of the place that you have been, as it is
You don't want to cook with mist. It adds a weird
mostly
flavor.
intact. The southern wall opposite you is a bit. What are you rolling?
I know. I dropped the die.
That
We'll
was
never
wrong.
know.
playing-
It's gonna,
I just heard glass roll. That's okay.
it must have been the haunt.
It's
It's,
the-
in front of them.
The southernmost wall, right in front of you, sits between two doors, which aren't boarded and barricaded. They just have some like barrels and big pieces of rubble pushed up against them to hold them shut. But right up the last like foot or so before the ceiling, and a bit of the ceiling is damaged and broken open. But rather than mist coming in, smoke is going out from a couple of cook pots they've just kind of set up against the southern wall of the room. A pair of these barrel-sized pots and ladles and other cooking supplies that they've hauled into here through their preparations. Huddled around it are 3 figures, clearly cultist figures. One of them is a dwarven woman, a huge for a dwarven woman, who is probably like 5'6", a massive, towering dwarven figure, as she looms over next to her a smaller human woman who looks to be a bit younger. And she's got like raven black hair kind of pulled back into a ponytail. She's a little bit cleaned up as well. She has a white, almost like a chef's jacket on that's got a couple little bits of yellow paint like down the shoulders and down the front, but she's not wearing a patient's gown at all. And then another figure, which is an elderly man who seems to be missing quite a few teeth and basically all of his hair, except like one side of his chin where it's going pretty okay. Who's just kind of sitting there, smiling, watching, definitely contributing absolutely nothing to whatever is going on here.
We all have that one coworker.
And everyone's worked with that guy.
Supervisor.
Who's just like, you're not sure why he's still here. But as you open the door, the dwarven woman kind of turns, rolls her head, and glances over to the group of you. She's got a nose like a hawk's beak. Just giant, massive, square facial figures. As she just kind of looks out with a huge scowl across the group of you. What the bloody hell are you doing here?
Just gonna point to the door over there.
Scout duties. Gotta go through.
And before we roll anything, or get any further with this, let's take our break.
Why
Real
would we have
quick.
to roll anything?
I don't know.
I can't imagine a single reason.
No particular reason. I'm sure it's fine. This will work out great. I'll immediately believe you.
Deception at some point.
And yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. I mean, just roll good, and then that's functionally like not rolling. It's easy. I don't hear any rain, so maybe we're going to be safe from the power outage. Maybe we'll actually make it through. I honestly didn't have.
You can't say that.
I didn't have a lot of confidence we were going to get through the entire stream, but like we're doing. I'm feeling much more reasonable about the situation now. I'm feeling like our odds are way better.
Clap of thunder.
We're gonna take
Power goes out immediately.
Imagine.
Right.
We're gonna take our midstream break. It's gonna be about 10 minutes, so feel free to stand up, stretch your legs, use the bathroom, grab some snacks. We'll have a little timer on there so you can you can see when we're gonna come back. Don't worry about missing nothing. We're also gonna play a couple of ads during this break. We got to play them at some point, or Twitch plays them just kind of automatically for us. So thanks to everyone putting up with those. I'd much rather have them run while there's not content than have them run during the content. Don't go too far, everybody. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. As we had left off, we'd made our way out of the camp, leaving Easy Martin, who's probably getting a little bit used to being called that right now at least, behind to try to formulate a cover story for us. Well, we headed out to the tower at the northwest extreme of the asylum grounds to find one of these Onirigen that have apparently been left behind and see if there's anything we could learn. Our first problem was going to be trying to figure out how to get over there.
We're gonna learn real fast. You can't.
Okay.
Grandma bakery over here is not gonna let us.
Everyone can't. They already have a grandma. We can't.
Great
be
grandma.
Like, great grandma.
Yeah,
I was gonna be an
grandma
auntie.
bakery.
The auntie spoon handle.
Well,
I don't
she's
know.
a
But,
dwarf. She could be very old. We don't know.
She looks very young for her age.
It's hard to tell dwarf ages.
They just have a thing about them. You
We
never
step
know.
through the door to see three cult figures, a very large dwarven woman who was literally taller than the human woman standing next to her, who is admittedly quite small. She's probably like 5'4". She's I guess not even that small, really. That's just like
She's taller than Cammy.
That means nothing.
what's Cammy, like 3'3"? Like, I mean, she's
Lower.
Cammy's
2'8".
not big. 2'8". 2'9" on a good day.
I think I said it was like 2'6" or something.
Yeah,
or
Cammy
2'3".
ain't
like
big.
it was something crazy.
Yeah. Well, his table legs are taller than Cammy, so I don't think that really...
Children are taller than Cammy.
Not a great comparison. You came in, the dwarven woman briefly yelled at you. Who the bloody hell are you? What are you doing here? Get out! The food will be ready when it's ready!
I don't care about the food. We're scouts. Need to use the door.
is blocked. We're not opening the door to the courtyard. The damn ghouls are out there. What are you, stupid?
That's why we're being sent out there.
Well, why would you go this bloody way? Just climb over the damn barricade in the cafeteria and get out there. You're not going to
Because
the
I was
kitchen.
told to go this way. I don't make these choices.
We can't go through the barricade way there with the shadows and everything.
So I want to make a deception check. You're all here, so it can be whoever.
I'm not great at it.
I'll make it.
Let us all go.
Well, somebody
Well, one
take the
person.
lead, and then if
I
anyone
I
wants
got
to
it.
aid,
It's me.
Oh, he wants to do it.
it's Trey.
It's Trey.
What you got?
Well, he's got an 8. I don't
I'm
want to
gonna-
say what it is.
Oh, okay, give me your
Yep.
aid. DC 20.
I don't hinder. I got
He's
a
there.
6 in
I
the
got a
die.
24.
What'd you roll?
18.
You can't keep getting away with it!
There's a knife. No, it's 18. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, how does it... Dude,
See?
Well,
if you had
how-
taken the lead, you would have
how
only
do
had a
you-
+2.
I would have rolled an 18.
how are you like this?
I am trained in deception. It's
How
not like
does
I have a
this keep
0.
happening? You, she kind of looks at you. Oh, fine. Hey, whatever, gods. Barricade the door back up after you. Good luck getting back in.
That's fine. We were just told to use the door.
Ugh. And she turns towards the door, and as she takes a step towards the door on the left there, you hear a huge crash, like something slamming into the outside of the wooden door, followed by scratching and clawing noises. She doesn't start at all. She just stands there, turns a little, reaches out, grabs a huge freaking ladle, holding it like a mace, and just stares at the door while these noises continue. And then after a few moments, the door shuddering in its frame as something flails against it. You hear a hissing growl on the other side, and it stops. She puts the big ladle back down. Give it a minute at least if they're right there.
Sure.
Can I hunt prey on that?
Unpray that noise.
I'll pray whatever made that sound. You can, actually. You detected it. You heard it.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Anyways. Why did you come this way? Let me make us unblock the door of the pantry. What if they get in here? All our food's in here.
At the point at Cammy, she can't clamber over anything. Even with our help.
Look at these
Yeah,
legs.
pick the damn girl up and throw at her.
She would
The
get
whole
hurt.
point of us going this way is to make it not your problem anymore. We're gonna kill him.
Oh, making it not my problem by coming directly through my kitchen, making it my problem. Makes a lot of sense to me.
I
Whatever.
didn't make it. I just
Whatever. I'm
listened.
not
Does-
making the decisions. Fine. I heard you. I'll let you through. I'm not going to
Is,
argue with Zandlis or Grandma or whatever.
Is that side door blocked up here? Blocked like that would
The
have
one
taken
on
us
the
around
western
corner?
side, the door is destroyed, and beyond it, all you can see is a huge heap of rubble.
Okay.
The two doors are both in the little nook to the south, one on either side of that little nook. Then, and that nook is just kind of barricaded and filled with rubble and barrels. Well, they're right out there, so you got your work cut out for you, don't you? Good luck with whatever it is you're doing. Where'd you find a sword?
I got lucky.
With what? Who
Some
brings a
se-
sword to a damn asylum?
Hell if I know. It was in some secret compartment.
And she,
While we're waiting, I could just tell her, like, it was in a cubby hole.
yeah, you
How
could literally tell her where you
Yeah.
found it. Like, I mean, there's no reason to lie about that, I suppose. Easiest way to lie. Don't if you don't need to. While you're talking, she looks over to the lady, the very young. She looks like she's maybe like 20, 21, who's currently stirring something in this big pot. And the guy's just sort of standing there, still grinning, just sort of staring at the top of the pot, whatever's bubbling in there.
He's just happy to be here.
And he just turns and looks, what the bloody hell are you doing? This is taking forever! And the girl just kind of tenses up, and jumps a little. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it cook any faster. Oh, bloody hells! We're lucky to be getting anywhere else. You can find us anything to eat, we can just get rid of this one.
If anyone here deserves to get thrown to him, it might be you with that attitude.
Oh, I'd like to see you try, big man.
It'll be a good little tussle, won't it?
And she just kind of looks at you.
This is flirting.
Kind of looks him up and down.
It's like I lean down to Cammy. I literally full stoop over. Are they flirting?
Yeah, Cammy and MD and we're all just on the side like, are they, is that
Is this
Oh my
dwarven
God.
flirting?
And she turns
Like, we're like posted up, like arms crossed, like, look at those two. Like,
and snaps back at the cook. What are you doing? You ain't even got the dill chop. What are you gonna put it in their hole? And she turns on. It's not. That's not. I'm sorry. And she just turns around and just stumbling a little bit. She's clearly does not have a good life in here. But the dwarf woman just laughs. Useless.
The pain of a line cook.
Here's the life again. The day of the life, really. All right, fine. Here. Why am I moving this stuff? You got two big strapping lads here, and you look like if you're worth any kind of dwarven blood, you can move that out of there. I ain't lifting this. And just steps out of the side. You'll do it. You want to throw up, put it back after you.
Works for me.
Did
Make yourself useful. Help her chop that. Do something.
I am the muscle of this operation, so I'll have you know.
What, you need a footstool?
Huh? No, I said muscle. Put on your ears. Listening ears, please. I said muscle.
It's a joke, I assume.
Huh? Are you? I didn't. It wasn't funny. I'm gonna go forward.
She just looks at Trey and just thumb gestures at Cammy.
That's pretty normal. The
Bloody
jokes
hell's wrong
go
with this
over. Well, the jokes go over her head. Way too short.
Never met a single gnome that was right in the brain. I guess no exception now. And she just stands aside and lets you guys at the pile of stuff that's barricading up these doors here.
Did you say that the smoke was going out like a vent above the door?
Vent is more just kind of a hole where the walls collapse a little bit, but yes, the smoke from the fire is going up and seeping out that into the courtyard.
Could you see above the door to see if whatever was out there was still there?
You plenty of stuff in it. You could certainly stand on something.
Yeah, I got a good look.
As you get up and you look out through this, it's a pretty big, like near a foot chunk of wall that's missing here. You look out and see a courtyard punctuated with quite a few well-maintained trees spread throughout. It's impossible to tell how large the courtyard is. You can't see the edge of it in any direction. It looks like it's pretty huge, sprawling out from these two doors here before it just disappears and fades out into this omnipresent yellow mist. What you would see, however, I have
37 ghouls.
just an entire army standing there just freaking waiting.
Start putting the barrels back.
Yeah.
What you would see is that the fog in this courtyard looks to be exceptionally thick, to the point where individual like clouds and whirls and almost tendrils of fogs rolling out are thick enough to look like physical waves or banks moving throughout the view. You can only see like 15, 20 feet.
Oh, at the very least, visibility is incredibly low.
It just means it'll be easier to do our job.
While we're moving the stuff off of the barricade, was that ladle right next to the barricade door?
A huge ladle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about as tall as you are probably, because it's meant for these huge barrel-sized pots. It's big and stout, real thick.
Okay. It's stout?
It's meant for like an industrial-sized pot, so it's like you use two hands, massive ladle.
Okay. While we're moving stuff out of the barricade, and I'm kind of like...
You would say it's mechanically a great club.
While we're moving stuff away from the barricade door, and I'm kind of like, Cammy's, like, as something begins to be lifted up, she's, like, getting under it, and actually, like, as if she was lifting it, and,
like she's
walking
helping.
around, hands crossed, like, yeah, that one over there, and that, and then I'm going to try and act, like, just as if it were more pieces of the barricade, like, as if this were also holding people back, and I'm gonna kind of like go like I can't whistle. That's true fact, but Cammy does. I'm gonna whistle and I'm gonna like snap and like try and direct MD over like as if like she was contracting this entire operation. Can you get that for me? Can you just hold this and I'm gonna try and like push it to him?
Yeah,
The ladle.
Yes.
the ladle. She's trying to steal the ladle.
I am clearing the barricade, and this large stick, just part of the barricade.
What are you doing with the ladle, MD?
I'm stealing the ladle.
Make me a thievery check.
MD is with me. I know he wants to mess with the pot too.
Is it a thievery check, or I simply reach down and pick
I
it
mean,
up?
thievery check did not have the giant
Oh,
dwarven
no, I
woman.
mean that his roll doesn't look good.
It's not good. It's
Can
just
I
5
help
on the
at all?
die plus a 7.
Can I do anything?
It's not small enough to smuggle.
the 12?
The 12 total.
That is a critical failure. As he definitely, you just reach down and grab it, and the dwarven lady notices immediately because there is no holding out to her.
I just hold it out to her. It's in the way. It's a tripping hazard.
Hands off my damn stick. The only thing I got, those ghouls get through this door, is this. Old Betsy, she's done me good so far, Bastion. 5 scores already.
That's
How'd they
it.
get through last time?
Do you wash it before using it?
You think that's on the top of our list of priorities right now? What? We're living in hell world filled with mist getting murdered by monsters and legions of the undead. You're concerned with kitchen sanitation?
Kinda. That's like a major
And she
biohazard,
just goes
actually.
and just
you're
sticks it in the pot. And as she does, you see the little girl that's chopping stuff at the table just sort of wince and shudder again.
She
And
was an
pause
actual
for a
chef.
second.
Absolutely
and just keep
massive
chopping.
biohazard. As a woman with a doctorate, so
It's fine as long as you cook it off.
I ain't killed nobody yet. It's boiling. It kills the germs or whatever. Is that
you
the whole
know.
point of boiling water before you drink it?
You know she's got a point.
I thought you killed.
Hold on. I would like to make a survival check to agree with her.
Why are you rolling? What's the survival check?
I have
You
a
can
minus
just-
1
you
and it's
just-
funny.
you can
just
her.
agree with
No, but I have a minus 1. I want to back
You
it
want
up
to
with
know-
Why does the
nonsense.
survival check matter?
Because it's funny.
What is the die determining?
How much I agree. It's a lot because I rolled a 7.
That seems fine to you.
Yeah.
That seems sanitary.
Whether or not he knows it's sanitary and still agrees.
You're like, yeah. No, you totally boil water before you drink it. 'cause it makes
That's
it
all you
safe.
got to do.
So, like, yeah, it's boiling the stew. It's fine.
Exactly.
Just takes the ladle back off, dumps it off the end of the thing, then just puts it back on the floor.
Not enough
It's
cool.
Still kind of soupy.
Not enough.
Floor that's covered in
This
dirt and
woman
debris,
has
by
like
the way.
minutes left on her lifespan.
Don't need to deal with her. This one will handle itself.
NASA just started the countdown.
Yeah,
She's
seriously.
I said dwarven constitution.
Dwarven constitution. That's why
Isn't
they
that
have.
goblins?
Well, but dwarves got what? The dwarves got the D12 hit die. They got the big.
Yeah,
chunky,
but the
boy
goblins
die.
can eat garbage.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. You know, maybe just goblins.
goblins
somewhere in
aren't
his family,
real.
but You don't know her
she
story.
like take adopted
you don't know her
ancestry
story
or something?
Like,
Not
puts-
yet. That's you can. You guys can
She-
link up. It's gonna be great.
puts the ladle down. She likes some goblin ancestry.
Apparently,
The only dwarf.
the only one who could possibly match my chiseled jawline.
Match, maiden, whatever's a couple of steps.
A trash
below
can.
heaven.
It's
The hell
not
that-
heaven.
The hell that is this asylum?
A match made somewhere below the earth, and
Quite literally.
she puts the ladle back down next to the pot, away out of the way enough that you couldn't possibly say it's in your way. As you guys clear the rest of this barricade and free these.
I make piercing eye contact with MD as if to say, "I want that ladle so bad."
It's like a kid. I want it.
A kleptomaniac.
Like when somebody
gnome.
from the office spikes the camera like that, just like piercing gaze into MD.
We are in an asylum for a reason, it turns out. And the reason is that we're not okay. But yes, you clear the door, clear the barricade, and leave these 2 doors now accessible. Either one of them open out of the courtyard, so it doesn't matter which way you go. Left or right, lads?
Adventurers always go left.
I go
Always
right.
Turn left is the way of my people. You're going to be like 10 feet apart if you don't agree, so it doesn't really matter. You
We can't split the party.
open the door and step outside. Heading through this door, you can just make out the wall in front of you. You seem to be up in the corner of the courtyard here. You know the barricade is far back behind you, but with how thick the fog is laying down, there is no way you could see it. The kitchen was a wide area and the pantry is pretty large. There's dozens of feet between you and the barricade. Absolutely no chance anyone over there is going to be able to see anything that you guys are up to.
Are we not just going to that door right there?
As you come out, there is a path that you couldn't see from the crack above because it heads up to each of the doors, so it was kind of around the sides. That does work its way. It looks like it was once well graveled. That turns and heads only maybe about 15, 20 feet before it immediately ends at another door into a further western part of the area. Yeah, exactly. It's a journey just like the garden path that you would take in at Impatient of only a few seconds, a couple of steps. But in that time, whoever would be searching out here, I need you to roll me a perception check.
I was about to say.
I think all of us at this point.
Yeah, we're all searching.
Stay investigating.
Yeah, you could do that.
Cammy's here to learn.
I'm actually scouting.
Fair enough.
There's ghouls. There be ghouls.
All right, what do you got, Marius?
I got a 16 on the die for 25, or 27 if it applies to the prey.
Does not apply to the prey, but the 25 is still pretty good. And it was Trey, was anyone searching?
I got a 10.
Solid. You're like, guys, there's a path.
Yeah.
You see a path. Marius, you would see a pretty large...
Wait, I don't see it?
figure. Towards the... like just as far as you can see into the mist. It's just at the very edge of your vision. Just on the other side of a tree that this path kind of winds by. A shape about as tall as MD, maybe a little taller. Much wider. Looks like it strides by. It doesn't look like a formless mass. It looks like a horse. But you can't make it out clearly enough to see for sure. And it walks, curving out toward the south, away out of view.
It went past the tree that's like closest to us.
Yeah, just like right 15, 20 feet away. You cannot see very far in this fog.
This creepy horsey thing heading just past us.
I don't
walking
Did you see
away.
there's a horsey?
We'll just put on
Some kind of creepy. I don't know. It could be a
Oh, you
horse.
said
It could
horsey.
be something big. I don't.
That sounds
let's,
adorable.
Let's not.
When was
Let's
the
be
last
careful.
time you've seen anything adorable in this asylum?
Well, I haven't found a mirror in a while.
I knew she was going to say that.
And now tee it
She's
up
like
for
brushing her shoulders.
As you continue towards the door, you move only a couple of steps before MD make a reflex save. Ooh.
Oh,
Nice knowing you. I
17
said
on the
explode.
die.
Oh, you're a rogue.
26.
Turns out he's a rogue. You stumble a little bit as if you had just walked into a massive tree root or something laying across the path. And you all hear him. You're walking in gravel. It's pretty audible. But as you look back and the group looks at you, there is absolutely nothing there that you can see at all.
That was rude. Which one of you tripped me?
walk much.
Look at Shrek.
Get wrecked.
I'm in front of you.
Your face is...
Guess they need to work on the tree roots pushing up to the path.
I'm just gonna open the door.
Hey.
Nope.
I'm ignoring that.
I don't want any.
And are you
not
saying that,
interested.
or are
Yeah.
you saying that to me?
I'd say that. Like, we're not buying.
You might want to listen. And you see a figure come up from around the corner to the south here. Trey, you already got the door. You already are opening it.
Yeah,
as
I'm
it
like
starts.
going to open it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can leave. You can open the door as it starts. That doesn't appear to be locked or anything. There's another tree at just at the edge of the fog down to the south. You really can only see like 15 feet or so. You see a figure just sort of step forward out of that. It's hunched over, but standing up looks humanoid. Behind it, a second, and then kind of crouched down, almost crawling frog-like on all fours, a third. As they get no closer than 10 feet, but close enough that you can make out their features. You can see their pointed ears. You can see their red eyes. You can see their pallid skin. It's pretty clearly a group of 3 ghouls. They make no move to lunge at you or anything. The one standing up in the front is currently your prey.
You. As he's talking, that door is just gradually getting more and more open.
Yeah, you can just open it all the way. That's fine. Like,
You smell different. You didn't come from here. Or at least you haven't been here long. Not in there, anyway. You with them? You got the yellow, most of you. You don't have any at all.
I'm just gonna walk inside.
Who? I'm surprised you aren't
Trays, you
just-
step in this hallway. Where you three?
Yeah, no, we haven't been there long.
By all means, step inside. The weather's unpredictable.
And they step closer towards you.
You might want to take a step back. The weather might be unpredictable, but I very much am.
You're coming into our home. You're in the door.
Trey, from where you're at, as you step in, you can see this is pretty much identical to the thing you just came from the pantry. It's a little nook that's got doors on both sides. You're the only one that could see this. They could just come in the other door if they wanted to.
That would not be healthy for them.
They're not just going towards it. They're still outside, kind of stepping towards the rest of the group here.
You're gracious hosts. No reason we can't be civil.
We can be civil
What do you want?
this far apart.
What do we want? We're just living here, man. This is our place. What do you want?
Are there locks on these doors?
Okay. I mean, there are locks on them. They're external doors. They can be locked.
You said
Can I lock that bottom door?
Oh, yeah. You can set over lock the bottom door for sure.
Yeah.
you said we might want to listen, talk.
I'm not really the guy for making deals. I'm just a man. I run the show here or nothing. But you guys are here for a reason. You're looking for something? You're running from something? You might want to talk to the boss. Walking around here on your own might be unsafe.
Where's the boss?
He can take you.
Who's the boss?
My boss? Clades. Runs this place. Come on. Let's step inside.
In this inside, or is there a different inside? That you
Right here's fine.
Oh,
Wow, if we were
he's
gonna
on-
eat you,
He's. Oh.
you'd be in my mouth already, little one. Come on.
I'm not going in there. I don't know.
Are ghouls usually this coherent?
All
No.
the ones we've met in the asylum so far.
You wanna? You're investigating right now.
Yes.
Have you made knowledge checks on a ghoul before?
On a ghoul?
Yes. We made a knowledge
What's your
check.
religion?
Yes, I did
You
once.
leveled up,
The one
so-
in the
The
tub.
one that was chained up and the one in the top.
Right. What's your religion? You've leveled up now, so your number's gonna be higher regardless. +7. Oh yeah, you would know that ghouls are a pretty interesting sort of undead, in that not only are they victims that have succumbed to like an actual physical disease, so they are like the they bite you and you become a ghoul kind of zombie, whereas zombies are reanimated undead by magic and are all but mindless. Ghouls retain absolutely anywhere on the spectrum from their entire mind to pieces of it. But universally, they are sentient. Like, they can speak, they can, like, they have societies that exist. The problem they have is that they have this pervasive, omnipresent hunger, which is a little difficult to see through sometimes. It's like an unavoidable driving primary force of their life. But no, a ghoul that can speak and a ghoul that does not immediately jump you is certainly not unheard of.
You can keep the chompers far away from me, buddy. I'm not trying to catch your cooties, so.
Well, unless you're gonna go back the way you came. I'm going through that door. and you're in the way. So if you want to come meet Clades, you can come with us. Or you can open that door to the kitchen back up. We can come with you. What's it gonna be, sweetheart?
Well, we're already going this way, so if you want to follow, that's your choice.
Can I hear most
I
of
don't
what
really
he's
give a
saying?
rip.
You can hear. You're right in the doorway. You can. Well, I mean, you could definitely. They're on the other side of the wall. He's by a thin door. You can hear him talking.
Sword's definitely drawn.
Yeah.
Might be at the ready.
Right then. After I'll lead the
Do
way.
the rest of you have your weapons out?
Yeah. Daggers out at least.
Kenny, Marius.
I kind of gesture to the door and I'm like, ladies first.
I want to try to push Marius and Kenny back to make room for the ghouls to go by. After all, lead the way, take us to Clades. I ain't gonna stab you in the back.
Think I can hear your friend inside there?
He's in there, I know.
Look, I'm just gonna tell you as consider it a courtesy. If you're planning something fancy, it's not really well advised. I don't know what you're after, but there's no reason we can't be friends here.
I'm being as friendly as I can. Do I look like a man who can plan something fancy?
I don't judge on appearances, not that quick. Met plenty of wise men, couldn't add 2 and 2, and plenty of preachers with a brain you wouldn't expect. So,
He just kind of motions towards the door.
there's not gonna ambush you in there. I mean what I said. If I
There's
wanted
no
to raise-
ambush in the doorway.
If I wanted to raise the alarm, all it'd take was me calling out. A swarm would be descending on you, buddy. Step inside.
After you.
You said you're leading the way, weren't you?
Why would the people who have no idea where they're going walk in first?
Because you step in, you make room, we show you where to go. And we don't walk in between you and your friend in there.
Trey, come out here.
I'll just walk out. And back over to the other side.
Easy. Simple. Solved. You first.
You lot ain't particularly good at making friends.
No.
I'm out on work on that on your way over.
But he'll step forward and around the corner of the doorway with the 2 other ghouls behind him, the one on all fours, like visibly panting as he looks up at the group of you. His eyes just big, wide, unblinking. Makes a bit of a wider turn than the rest of them and just sort of smells the air right in front of you as he comes around, and the 3 of them head inside. They keep walking. Do you follow them?
Yeah.
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 So the group of you come into a hall here. You can see there's a couple of doors, a couple of offshoots. You're in the rehab wing now. The wall to your left looks like it's the most damaged. It's a miracle the thing hasn't come down. Cracks and holes permeate the entire surface of the wall, all the way down to the corner where it splits off into a hallway. But this ghoul and his friends, they just walk right on by to this big intersection and forward to a pair of double doors on the left. They walk past those and then just kind of turn around. And the leader, the only one who's spoken so far, just sort of gestures over to the doors before reaching out and opening the nearest one wide.
Welcome in. Clades is right inside. He ain't got nothing else going on today.
I thank you for his time. I'll just
Yeah, just
walk in.
Mm-hmm.
The group of you, as you step through this doorway, walk into an absolute horror scene. The room looks like it was once a shower and bath area. There are a couple of cubby holes on the backside, arched semicircular spaces with shower heads over the top of them, and a green and white cracked tile floor. The center of the room dominated by what looks like it was a fairly large communal bath or pool once, but is now a pit, absolutely heaped with corpses. It is coated across the bottom with blood and gore and what must be the pieces of over a dozen bodies, many of which have been ripped limb from limb and had much of the flesh torn away from the bone. There are scattered, discarded, clearly humanoid bones all around the edges of the pool where they've just been dropped. In the far end of the room, in front of these showers, there is what looks like it was once just a simple wooden chair. It's been transformed into a gruesome throne, draped with sheets of viscera and built up with gnawed bones, making a big arching pair of almost wings off the back of the chair. 3 more ghoulish figures stand over there. One sat on the floor next to the chair, one just kind of stood in the corner by the door, eyeing the group of you, and one sat cross-legged in the throne. One hand up, the other missing entirely. Gone, seemingly severed completely at the shoulder. The hand worn on a rope around his neck, like a badge of honor. And that ghoul has a big ol' smile as he looks across the group of you coming in. You're now amidst 6 or 7 ghouls in this scene here, who are all just eyeing you like food as you step into the showers. You all coming in?
I'll make sure
MD's
Cammy's
already
close
walked
to me.
in.
Yep, MD's already walked in.
I'm in the room.
I'll make sure Cammy's safe as in the room as possible.
No.
Clearly like a child clutched.
And as you all come in, the 3 outside close the door behind you. The one who had been speaking joining you in the room, leaving the other 2 outside. He puts his hands up.
Glades! Get a load of this lot! They don't look like the rest in the cafeteria. Well, they do a little. But that paint's fresh and they smell different.
Speaking of stench, this pool in the center of the room is an incredible cesspool of rot, and it hits you like a wall when you walk in here.
Apply?
I need
Clothespin.
everyone still needs to make me a fortitude
Ah.
save. The clothespin's just gonna kind of compensate for how heightened your sense
Yeah.
of smell is anyway.
Nat
Clothespin?
20.
Oh, clothespin's great actually.
Never mind, I get her on there right in time.
I got a 20 total.
20 total. Gonna eat your bless, but you're gonna be okay.
22.
22, you're okay.
15.
With a 15, you are sickened 1 as you walk into the room here. And that's going to be an effect that for the moment, there should be a thing of cards in the little cubby hole in front of you with statuses on them. So you can just pull out the sickened card.
It's ya boy.
For the moment, it's your boy. That's just going to pretty much reduce all of your stats by 1. So any checks that you are rolling are going to be 1 lower just because the scent is so pervasively overwhelming that you can't really focus as well. But he introduces you, and Clades just kind of looks across the group. I'm just going to do this. I got a lot of practice with volley. I'm used to one-armed NPCs. This comes up a weirdly huge amount of the time.
You have it, right?
What?
You have it?
Have...
The hand.
Oh, the hand. I don't have a necklace to put it on. We've actually got we've got the hand. Yeah, give me the hand. He's got the severed hand just sitting right here. Because that actually does a good job of showing how incredibly unsettling it is, because it's not small. Like, having this hand... Can I get this to stay here?
Just tie it to your beard.
Maybe that's what I'm looking for right there. He's just got it sitting. It's pretty much entirely on my microphone, but it's the thought that counts. Clearly, it's the same, like, pale blue as the rest of his skin. If it's not his, it's definitely a ghoul's. And it looks like it's been cut off cleanly at the wrist, whereas his arm's gone much further up. He just sort of gestures the group of you.
We're not with the cult. Best way to describe them.
Kimmy kind of steps forward and does a sort of like mocking about your disgustingness.
I'm clearly just sickened, but also hunt
He's, like,
prey on
retching in the corner.
Hunt prey on him.
Cammy, you okay?
Huh?
You okay?
I'm okay.
It smells awful in here.
Yeah, you want to talk about how we smell? Y'all stink.
I don't know how you can smell
This
it.
guy gets it.
Smell us over that.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Oh, as pleasurable as meeting.
Why are you here?
For the
I don't know,
tower.
that's that guy.
A tower?
Yeah. Someone got locked up there. We need to ask some questions.
You say you're not with the cult, but you come in here and the first thing you want is the only thing they left behind?
That's why we're looking for them. Why'd they leave it behind, and can we use it to get rid of the cult?
That's what you're after.
They're a bit of a nuisance.
A bit. Maybe we can be friends then.
I'm not opposed.
They don't look that different.
You got a lot more in common with this guy, perhaps, than the cult. Honestly, your skin's the same color. It's pretty close. Okay. Alright. So, how did you get here? Where did you come from? You must have come from their direction or you fell out of the sky. Those are the only two options that I can see.
I can just point vaguely southish of us because they can't go that way with all the collapses and whatnot.
There's more than just the cult.
That's curious, but interesting. Don't really care about them. I don't know them. Cult's enough for me. Cult. It's not really a cult, is it? They don't believe anything. They don't follow anything. Just listen to one man.
Isn't
Barely
that
even
exactly
knows what's
what?
going on.
Isn't that exactly what a cult is?
They follow him.
One crazy leading a bunch of sheep.
I guess. All right. But how did you get in my turf? How'd you get in my halls?
Point at the guy who walked in with us.
We
But
walk.
from where?
We opened the
Pantry
door.
door.
The cult.
We
Uh,
came from the cult.
Yeah, we infiltrated them.
We had to pass through. That's why we've got the yellow.
Ah. So you could go back there.
Yeah. After we're done here, we will be going back.
Okay. Alright. Alright. I like this. I don't know you guys, but you seem like you got good heads. You can blend in with them. You're smart enough to accept. He gestures over to the gold ledger here and offer to come in here, meet with me. You know where the power lies. I don't see why you can't go in the tower. Why don't we make a trade? We make a deal. Yeah?
What would you like?
A gold. Food. Blood. Meat. They put up a decent wall on the edge of the courtyard, but it's not that much. It's hard for us to get over while they're shooting and swinging at us. It's pretty defensible. It won't be terribly hard to knock over from their end, I imagine.
I think an arrangement can be made.
I think it can. Okay.
What's the time frame that you would like?
I don't know when they expect you back. I don't care, honestly. It's early in the morning. We have a whole day to work. You want what's in the tower? You head back out. You need to kill some time to sell your story with them. Whatever you got to do. You head back into the cafeteria. You take down that wall. I get a bunch of my guys. We go out in the courtyard. We see that come down. You see us come in. Everyone here! You see these faces? These are my new friends! Okay? When we rush the cafeteria, you leave them alone. They're with me. We're going to do good business. They're going to keep our bellies full and keep this hunger as at bay as it can. And we're going to feed like we haven't fed since the first night. And a bunch of other ghouls are kind of smiling and nodding. There's some sounds of agreement. He kind of reaches up and flicks a little hand on his shirt here. You're agreeable sorts. I like this.
Makes sense to make friends with powerful people.
That it does. Okay. And once we do that, we come in. No one here will hurt you. You meet back up and walk you to the door myself. You take whatever you want. Nothing in there we still need. We have a deal. You don't have to answer now. You can think about it. I'll get my answer. My wall's going to come down or it isn't. When you head back out of here and you go back to that cafeteria, the next time that I see any of you, you better be in there. We better have been invited in.
One question before we agree on this deal.
What?
What was in the tower? And did you kill it?
He's a smart one! He's a smart one, this man! You gotta keep him around. He's your deal maker! That's what he is. I don't know. The same thing that ran them out ran us. We could fight it, sure. I have enough of us, but it doesn't seem like much of a point. The thing's stuck in there. We can't get out. And I don't think we could eat it. It'd be worth the sacrifice anyway. Won't be getting anything back. We get in, we fight the cult. Run in, they take a couple of us down. And every one of them we take back is another one of mine in a couple days, right? That thing, not so much. You can have with it what you will. If you came from all the way over there, I know how that hall stands. There's no way back through there. I've tried, trust me. My boys have tried. You must have gone all the way around the whole asylum.
That's right.
You must be pretty strong. You could probably handle it. Besides, it's what you're after, right?
Hold some secrets that we need to know.
Good!
What? Why don't you think you can eat it?
I think he's just not worth the effort. He just gestures to the pool in front of him. We got plenty here for now! I think my boys didn't pounce on you the second you showed your faces. I take care of my men.
During this entire exchange, I'm just kind of sizing everyone. I'm sizing them all up. It's like if I have to fight them, I want to know their strengths. I want to know who's weak.
What's your religion?
My religion is 0.
What's your society? They're humanoid. You're sizing up, can I take this guy in a fight? Which I'll give you society for
Plus
a bunch
5.
of dudes. Even if they are kind of undead dudes.
They're still just dudes.
Yeah. Alright, so looking around the room, you may not know much about undead or ghouls. But you can kind of size how people stand, how they act, how they carry themselves, and sort of gauge how strong you think they physically are. And then maybe add a little extra for their current state. Looking around, most of them don't look like much. They're probably dangerous, but you don't estimate much more dangerous than members of the cult. You sure don't want to fight like 7, 8 of them at one time. That could go poorly quickly. But like those 3 that were in the courtyard, you feel like you could probably take a fight like that pretty easily, honestly. Now, Claves, the guy sitting in the chair, even missing an arm, looks like he is going to be markedly more threatening than the rest of them. You're pretty confident he could take any one, probably any 2 of you. Well, I'd say with one hand tied behind his back, but severed entirely seems to
Tied around his neck.
serve the same purpose. You also see that you've got a bunch of ghouls here of varying strengths and probably varying desires who are all clearly, absolutely just answering to this one-armed man. And this isn't... We've got a third civilization here in the asylum. Winter leads the chapel because she was just sort of the one that brought it organization. Xandalus leads the cult because he is their god. What you see here, Clades leads the ghouls because none of them want to stand up to him. Even with the numbers they clearly have, that kind of speaks for itself. Well then, not that we have much else that needs discussing. Go bide your time, do what you have to do. We'll be around, we'll be watching. We see that wall come down. But no, we have some friends. I like new friends. Can always use more friends. Go ahead.
We'll be seeing you later.
Fingers and gestures. Maybe we will. I feel like I can trust you guys. You seem like honest sorts.
For what it's worth, I am completely considering doing this.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
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 No, in character,
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure
Yeah,
you
no,
are.
it checks.
He motions, and the ghoul that led you here walks back and kind of smiles to greet you over towards the door and puts his hand on the handle. He says,
You better think hard on that choice there.
and then goes up in the door. And as he does, Clades yells out, "Hey!" And the ghoul just stops and turns and looks. He's looking at the ghoul. Not you guys anymore, just staring directly at him. Come here. Come here! And the ghoul, looking suddenly kind of scared, walks over slowly towards Clays. The rest of the ghouls are frozen at this point, solid, just watching. He walks up to the throne. Clades looks at him, just kind of looks over at you guys. What'd you say? And he,
I was... Did you just threaten? But I just said they were my friends. You threatened them? I was just emphasizing your point.
Okay. You thought I didn't make myself clear. Thought they didn't understand? I was like, no, I'm not. You think they're not going to listen to me? No, that's not what I meant. Okay. You think they're stupid? Look at them. They look stupid to you? I'm sorry, Clates. What are you sorry for? I thought you were helping. He's just like, he's frozen. He doesn't know what to say
Just
at this point.
pushing Cammy out the door. We don't have any.
Stay there! He's apologizing to you.
I don't care if he apologizes to me. I've already had worse things said to me.
You stay there. You listen. You're apologizing to them? Think they're stupid? He just shakes his head. He just kind of turns to you guys and puts his head up.
I'm sorry for threatening. I don't think you guys are stupid. My bad, guys.
Clay's just got this big gun in his face.
That's right. He doesn't think you're stupid. And he doesn't think you won't listen to me. He doesn't think you guys don't respect me. That's not the problem. The problem is he thinks you guys think like he does. I don't think he respects me.
And he just kind of turns to look up. No, that's not what it is at all, Clades.
I don't think he respects you either.
And Clades immediately stands up from the throne and jams 2 fingers into his eye. And his thumb into the guy's mouth. And you see a spurt of blood come out as he grabs into his skull. Is that what it is? You don't respect me? You don't think they'll listen? And the dude's just gagging and choking on his own blood at this point. Clade's literally one-handed, just holding him, clawed into the front of his skull. He throws him down on the ground. and just kneels down on him. Huh? You want to lead everyone? You think you can do a better job? And raises up a couple of his fingers, soaked in this guy's blood, and just plunges him down and rips out the dude's neck. And then just stands up and kicks him into the pool. It's hard to get good help, you know. And always with good friends. Go! See you later. Bye-bye now.
I kind of stumble out the door.
And you go out, the door opened, and there are two ghouls just kind of standing out there. One of them, the one that was on all fours, literally just sat on the ground staring at the floor. The other one just has his hand on the door. And just points the way you came, doesn't really say anything, and just closes the door.
I'm gonna take a
Yeah, just walking back out.
I'm gonna take a few steps off to the corner and just kind of breathe for a minute, and if I need to do the recovery,
maybe retch a little
Yeah.
bit, and you overcome your second. And the group of you make your way back down the hall with the doors out to the courtyard.
Was this not the hallway we needed to go into for the tower, or is
Are
it?
you gonna go to the tower?
We're gonna walk out into the courtyard first and have a little talk. Trey,
He can't be trusted. He's crazy.
you know, he's absolutely crazy.
Up until that point, I would have listened.
Well, I figured letting him take out the cultists is also a big problem for the church, for the temple as well. The more ghouls there are, the more problems there are for us in the long run.
I figured we'd just kill him in the middle of all the fighting.
I mean, they've also got some. I mean, middle ground. They've got some corpses in there.
Well, we have an assessment of their strength now.
You know what the problem is going to be if you want to just try to fight your way in this wing, and you don't know how many men Clades has got because you just saw a group in the courtyard and a group in his impromptu throne room.
You know what we do have?
What do we have?
A very nice choke point.
You got a solid little choke point. You got a door. You got some stuff you could work with. When we come back next week, I guess we can figure out what our plan is.
That's not even fair.
There's a third faction
Not for long.
here in Briarstone Asylum. It's not just the chapel survivors and the cult. Clades and however many ghouls he's got seem to be a pretty sizable force as well, and they're offering you a pretty easy way into the tower. And possibly rid of a whole bunch of cultists.
We're gonna make our own faction.
We're our own team now. We're team, the main characters team. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Team MC.
Thank you for being here. If you want some more Pathfinder, some more undeniably good times, Monday, the UGT show is going to be back at 7 p.m. Eastern with our other horror-based spooky explore a single building and also the smallest character has a gun campaign, which is
The
Malevolence.
parallels.
Yeah, we're just building more of them. Are we going to meet a ghoul street gang in yours too?
You are now.
You have the chapel survivors, you have the cult, and you have the gang. The three factions here in Briarstone. Sully runs that one 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday. We switch seats. It's a great show. We have a lot of spooky Pathfinder going on right now. We'll be back here next Saturday, same time, same place. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Enjoy your weekends. Good night.